On the news, Tinubu presents 47.9 trillion naira budget at joint session of National Assembly. Security, infrastructure, education top the list. Several children fell dead during stampede at Carnival in Oyo State. And NCAA rejects claims of Nigerian aircraft sold to Iran, begins investigation. Welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Atiku. President Bola Tinubu has made his second budget presentation before a joint session of the National Assembly on Wednesday, December 18, 2024. Presenting the 2025 appropriation bill to Parliament, President Tinubu unveiled a budget estimate of 47.96 trillion naira with a crude oil benchmark price of $75 per barrel, daily oil production of 2.06 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate of 1,500 naira to the US dollar for the 2025 fiscal year. According to the president, the proposed expenditure for the 47.96 trillion naira budget reflects the serious challenges faced by Nigeria and contains key reforms necessary to address them. TV360's correspondent Folashade Olusegun completes the report.
Defense and security, infrastructure, health and education are some of the sectors with high allocations in the 47.9 trillion naira budget of restoration presented by President Tinubu before a joint session of the National Assembly. According to the president, the proposed expenditure for the 47.96 trillion naira budget reflects the serious challenges faced by Nigeria and contains key reforms necessary to address them. Providing expenditure projections for 2025, President Tinubu says the government targets 34.82 trillion naira revenue, while overall expenditure is projected at 47.19 trillion naira. Debt servicing accounts for 15.81 trillion naira, while the budget deficit constituting 3.89% of the gross domestic product. The president says the 2025 budget deficit will be financed mainly by new borrowings.
This is an ambitious but necessary budget to secure our future. The budget projects inflation will decline from the current rate of 34.6% to 15% next year, while the exchange rate will improve from approximately 1,700 naira per dollar to 1,500 naira, and a base crude oil production assumption of, say, 2.5 million naira per day.
Tinubu further outlined the guiding principle of the 2025 budget, while aimed to restore macroeconomic stability, enhance the business environment, promote inclusive growth, and foster equitable income distribution.
While challenges persist, we improved revenue collection and fulfilled key obligations. The transformational effect of this on our economy are gradually being felt. Our 2025 budget proposal is not just another statement on projected government revenue and expenditure. It is one that calls for action.
While commending President Tinubu for his efforts to reposition the Nigerian economy against vested interests, Speaker of the House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin described the projections for proposed 2025 budget of 49.7 trillion naira as bold but achievable.
This is not merely your budget. It is a national project requiring collaboration across all arms of government. We will work to ensure its timely passage, provide legislative support for critical reforms, and conduct robust oversight to guarantee transparency and efficiency in its execution.
The 2025 budget is Nigerians' highest ever, and every line item is expected to be scrutinized by National Assembly.
We don't need to wait for the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, to tell us what to do. We have grown as a nation. We need to look inward. We need to build our own capacities. We need to look at our economies, not to just be copycats. And every day in, day out, we come, churn out statistics, and we go back home, and our people remain in the serious want.
Our annual performance survey this year, which was done by the National Animal Agricultural Extension Research Liaison Services, actually provided that we had some marginal increase because of the improved security. And next year, 2025, we intend to even, scale up and expand more, given the fact that we are going to have more secure land for our farmers to go back to farm.
The president says the 47.9 trillion naira budget of restoration reflects his administration's unwavering commitment to stabilizing the economy, fostering inclusive growth, and laying the groundwork for prosperous future. Anchored on Renew Hope agenda, the 2025 budget seeks to tackle pressing challenges and uplift the living standards of all Nigerians. Folashade Olusegun reporting for 3360 Abuja.
President Tinubu's 2025 budget of restoration is already generating reactions from citizens. The head of Natural Resource and Climate Governance at Budget Foundation, Enebi Opalua, joins us to discuss further. Thank you very much for your time, Enebi. Now, you look at the budget estimates for 2025 for several sectors in the country. Security, infrastructure, and education are top on the list. Do you have any reservations on the amount allocated to each of these sectors?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your program this evening. Also, let's get right into it. Looking at the budget estimates for certain sectors as highlighted by the president during the speech. So defense having 4.5 trillion, infrastructure another 4 trillion, education 3.5 trillion, and health 2.4 trillion. I'm not so surprised that defense has the highest allocation. For I think the last 4 to 5 years, defense has always had the highest allocation, and reason being that Nigeria is tackling terrorism and banditry, and so the government has in recent years allocated a lot of funds to the defense sector. However, the challenge has been in proper accounting or proper disclosure of how these funds have been spent, and then tallying that with the results that we get from fighting terrorism. We've had some good reports lately, but however, on the overall performance is still left to be judged. In terms of education, yeah, I think education is having a higher allocation for the 2025 budget compared to previous years. The same for health. Yes, health has perhaps maybe some 20 or 15% increase compared to the 2024 budget or so. If we look at the initial budget presentation. And so it's quite commendable that allocations to education health are increasing. There's people that would argue that it's still not enough, because if you are benchmarking against the recommended 15% of the budget, then you see it's still far below the benchmark. But I would say it's quite good that the education sector and the health sector is seemingly receiving increased attention. And from the budget speech, the president has said a sizable portion of that fund will be used on infrastructure, at least for the health sector, as he mentioned during the speech. So in terms of sectoral allocations, that is those that are at least for the 4 sectors that were highlighted in the budget speech. Hopefully, when the breakdown is publicly available, we have the opportunity to look through and then analyze it much more broadly and much more deeper. Thank you.
Now, the 2025 budget projects to bring inflation down to 15%. Do you think that this is really achievable, considering where inflation is at the moment?
No, Nigeria's budget has always been ambitious. From 34% down to 15% is a tall order, is a very ambitious goal. Like I always say, if they can achieve it, fine. Or however, considering that a large section of our inflation is also largely driven by the exchange rate, and the exchange rate is not projected to come lower than 1,500 naira to a dollar, at least for next year. I find it difficult to see how they might be able to achieve a 15%, like 50% inflation. That is over 50% improvement in terms of inflation rate. I think that might be very difficult. Yes, based on the budget speech, they are looking at improved security, which will now allow more food production. I think a lot of explanation has to be done to let us know how that will happen. And then they are looking at the savings from the imports of refined petroleum that will be saved. All right, that whole area has still been largely opaque. We don't know how much Nigeria has saved over the last couple of months in terms of petrol imports. We don't even know how much we were spending previously. We now buy fuel from the Dangote refinery, which now also exports, and the president also alluded to the fact that we will also be benefiting from exports. We don't know how the refinery, Port Harcourt refinery, will play into this, and how other local refineries will play into that. So, in terms of the contribution of reforms in the oil and gas sector, we are yet to have a full disclosure of how the government intends to achieve all of these in bringing down inflation rate. Yes, there are positive signs, potentials that can be leveraged upon, but I think there needs to be a lot more explanation. It's not just enough to, in quote, throw out the numbers and the ambitions there. By historical and by antecedent, we've seen that in terms of budget performance, it hasn't been as good as the budget itself. And so there's still a lot to be explained by the federal government on how this will be achieved.
Yeah, I'm sure the federal government would provide more clarity on the budget. Head of Natural Resource and Climate Governance at Budget Foundation, Enebi Opalua, we appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much. Moving on, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has denied involvement in the alleged sale of Nigerian registered aircraft and announced ongoing investigations into the claims. This came after a report about a controversial aircraft recently smuggled from Nigeria and allegedly sold to an Iranian airline in violation of international sanctions against Iran. The aircraft in question are an Airbus A340-600 and a Boeing 737-300 currently stored in Tehran at Imam Khomeini International Airport and Mehrabad Airport in Iran, respectively. However, Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection Michael Achimugu has clarified that for such sales to occur, the aircraft would first need to be deregistered in Nigeria, a process that has not occurred. The spokesperson further highlighted that the reports lack specific details. Moving on, several children have reportedly lost their lives in a stampede that occurred at a carnival in the Bashorun area of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Wednesday. Although the exact number of casualties is still unclear, a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Dotun Oyelade, says victims have been taken to different hospitals across Ibadan for treatment. On his part, Governor of the state, Seyi Makinde, said primary organizations of the event that led to the stampede have been taken into custody as investigations continue. He assured that measures have been put in place to prevent further deaths at the venue, achieved by deploying security agents to restore order. And on health matters, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has refuted claims that it approved a herbal tea product known as Lung Detox Tea or Lungitox that promotes smoking. According to NAFDAC, the product is not registered with the agency. The DG of NAFDAC further revealed that an application to register the product was submitted in 2023 but was rejected due to unsubstantiated and dangerous claims. The agency emphasized that it does not permit the approval of products that lack scientific basis or pose a risk to public health.
It is important to emphasize that NAFDAC does not and will never permit the approval, importation, exportation, manufacture, advertisement, distribution or sale of any product that lacks a solid scientific basis or any product that poses a potential risk to public health. The claims made in the application were not only unscientific, but also posed a significant danger to public health. The claims made in the application were not only unscientific, but wicked in the sense that because of greed, this unscrupulous person will want to expose people to the dangers of smoking. As a science-driven and professional regulatory body, NAFDAC strictly enforces its mandate to protect public health as outlined in the NAFDAC Act Cap N1 LFN 2004. All products under the agency's regulatory review or purview, which are food, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, bottled water, and chemicals, are thoroughly evaluated for safety, quality, and efficacy before approval.
Time for a short break, but coming up on the news, assassination plot against Pope Francis back in 2021 foiled by UK intelligence. Excerpts from upcoming autobiography reveal. Stay with us for details.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Let's take you through our major stories. President Bola Tinubu has made his second budget presentation before a joint session of the National Assembly on Wednesday, December 18, 2024. Presenting the 2025 appropriation bill to Parliament, President Tinubu unveiled a budget estimate of 47.96 trillion naira with a crude oil benchmark price of $75 per barrel, daily oil production of 2.06 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate of 1,500 naira to the US dollar for the 2025 fiscal year. According to the President, the proposed expenditure for the 47.96 trillion naira budget reflects the serious challenges faced by Nigeria and contains key reforms necessary to address them. He also informed you that several children have reportedly lost their lives in a stampede that occurred at a carnival in the Bashorun area of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Wednesday. Although the exact number of casualties is still unclear, a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Dotun Oyelade, says victims have been taken to different hospitals across Ibadan for treatment. On his part, Governor of the state, Seyi Makinde, says primary organizations of the event that led to the stampede have been taken into custody as investigations continue. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places, the Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon route, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Deji 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Deji 360, dissecting the issues.
Let's get more updates on development in the world of business. Okoyemi Owosheni has the latest. Over to you, Okoyemi.
Thank you, Simisola, and welcome to Business News. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has described critics of the 4 tax bill transmitted to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu as people who have not taken time to understand the proposed initiatives. Akpabio disclosed this during his remarks at the presentation of the 2025 budget estimate by President Tinubu to a joint session of the National Assembly on Wednesday. According to him, the 4 controversial tax reform bills represent a monumental shift in Nigeria's fiscal landscape. He says the initiative marked the first comprehensive tax reform since Nigeria's independence, presenting a transformative opportunity for rejuvenating small and medium enterprises and enhancing the livelihoods of ordinary Nigerians.
Just to assure you, sir, that the 4 tax reform bills, the Joint Revenue Board of Nigeria, Assembly Bill 2024, Nigeria Revenue Service, in fact, as I'm mentioning the bills now, many of them will be shocked because they never even knew. The Joint Revenue Board of Nigeria Establishment Bill, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, Nigeria Tax Bill, represent a monumental shift in our fiscal landscape. It is disheartening that those who have not yet taken time to understand the initiative, the focus, are the ones shouting the loudest as critics. But we will make sure that we listen to Nigerians and dot the I's and cross the T's to the satisfaction of all Nigerians and for the benefit of this country. We will not kill any reform that you bring forward that will change the future of this country.
We're going to break now and be back with updates from the stock market. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market rallied further by 0.43% on Wednesday as stock investors remain steadfast in pursuing undervalued names across 6 key sectors. This month, the market has risen by 3.05%, while this week it has risen by 1.11%. This year's return increased to 34.38%. Now, all in all, 123 NGX-listed stocks were in on the action, with 42 finishing on a high and 18 sliding down. Now, leading the pack of gainers for the second second time in a row was MRS Oil Nigeria at 159 naira 70 kobo per share. Out on its heels was Len Africa, up by 9.97%. Talk about a winning day for these stocks. Now, today's trading session on the NGX saw a total of 389 million shares traded in 9,573 deals with a market value of over 9 billion naira. Now, despite the bullish momentum, today's trading data on the NGX showed a dip compared to the previous session, that's Tuesday, December 17th, as the trading volume dropped by 18%, while the turnover saw a sharp 57% decline. Global shares and the US dollar edged up on Wednesday as investors made last-minute adjustments to portfolios in the countdown to the year's final flurry of central banks meetings, while news of a potential Nissan under tie-up lifted car stock. Now, this led to our select global equities, that's the UK FTSE and the US Dow Jones, to a bullish close, as you can see from the screen behind me. Asian stocks, however, continued the southward movement to close in the bears at 0.72%. On the foreign exchange market, the naira remained volatile as ever, with other major currencies trading at 1,660 naira against the US dollar, 2,160 naira for the Great British pound, and 1,730 naira for the euros. Well, that's it on both business and stock market report. Back to you, Simisola, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Okoyemi. And on the foreign scene, a plot to assassinate Pope Francis during a trip to Iraq in 2021 was stopped following a tip-off from British intelligence, according to excerpts from his upcoming autobiography. The two suicide bombers planned to attack him during his 2021 visit to Iraq, but were killed before striking. The visit, which took place over 3 days during the coronavirus pandemic, was characterized by intense security operation. Pope Francis' trip 3 years ago was the first by a Catholic pontiff to the country and described as the riskiest foreign trip of his 11-year papacy. And South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol has failed to appear before law enforcement authorities on Wednesday for questioning over his attempt to impose martial law in the country. A joint investigation team consisting of the police, the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials, and the Defense Ministry's investigation unit sought Yoon's presence for interrogation after attempts to deliver the summons to Yoon failed this week. On Saturday, South Korea's parliament voted to impeach Yoon almost 2 weeks following his botched attempt to institute a martial law. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo assumed presidential duties until the Constitutional Court takes the final decision on whether to confirm Yoon's impeachment or declare it unconstitutional. Finally, on sport, Moroccan football experts have reacted to Atlas Lions skipper Achraf Hakimi missing out on the 2024 African Footballer of the Year, criticizing the Confederation of African Football CAF that understandings, calculations and divisions within the federation tipped the scales in favor of the Nigerian over the Moroccan international at the last minute. Atalanta's Nigeria international Ademola Lookman claimed the African Player of the Year title, succeeding Victor Osimhen at the 2024 CAF Awards in Morocco on Monday evening. The 27-year-old played a key role as Nigeria reached the final of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, registering 3 goals and an assist. Lookman's African Player of the Year win marks the first time in 3 decades that Nigeria has produced back-to-back winners of the men's award since Nwankwo Kanu and Victor Ikpeba were honored in 1996 and 1997, respectively. And that's it on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Simisola Atigun. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.